September 2005. A Nissan engineering facility in Opama, Japan. Senior powertrain engineer Hiroshi Tanaka stands before a dyno cell, watching an SR20DET engine complete what should be a routine validation test. Except there's nothing routine about what he's seeing. The engine has just passed 150,000 kilometers of simulated driving, 0 failures, 0 degradation. The dyno numbers are identical to when the test started 6 months ago. 247 horsepower, 203 pound-feet of torque. Perfect. But Tanaka isn't celebrating. He's looking at a document from corporate headquarters. A single page. 3 sentences. SR20DET production will cease December 2006. No direct replacement planned. All SR20-powered vehicles discontinued. A junior engineer approaches. Sir, the test results are excellent. The SR20DET exceeds all durability requirements. Why are we discontinuing it? Tanaka doesn't answer immediately, because the truth is something he can't say out loud. The SR20DET isn't being killed because it failed. It's being killed because it succeeded. And that success was destroying Nissan's carefully constructed image. This is the story of the SR20DET. The engine Nissan built to dominate street racing and drift culture. That became too successful with the wrong crowd. And why Nissan chose to bury their most beloved performance engine to distance themselves from the street racing epidemic they had accidentally created. The engine that built the wrong reputation. To understand why Nissan killed the SR20DET, you need to understand what it represented in 2005, not to Nissan, to the street racing community. Between 1999 and 2005, illegal street racing exploded in America, fueled by movies like The Fast and the Furious, organized through internet forums, happening every weekend in major cities. And the car at the center of it all, the Nissan 240SX with an SR20DET swap. The 240SX was never officially sold in America with the SR20DET. The US market car came with the KA24DE, a naturally aspirated 2.4-liter making 155 horsepower. Adequate but boring. But through gray market imports and engine swaps, thousands of SR20DET engines flooded into America from Japan, and they transformed the 240SX from a mediocre sports car into a street racing weapon. The SR20DET made 247 horsepower stock, with basic modifications, 300 plus, with a bigger turbo, 400 plus. It was cheap, reliable, and responded to modifications like nothing else. By 2003, the SR20DET swapped 240SX had become the car of choice for illegal street racers. Light, powerful, rear-wheel drive, perfect for high-speed racing and drifting. And then the accident started making headlines. The crash that changed everything. March 18, 2004, Southern California, 2 modified Nissan 240 SXS, racing on public roads at 2 a.m. Speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. One car loses control, crosses the center line, hits a family in a minivan head-on. 3 people killed instantly, 2 children critically injured. The driver survives. His 240SX had an SR20DET swap, making an estimated 380 horsepower. The car was built specifically for street racing. The media coverage was brutal. Import tuner culture claims innocent lives. Illegal racing kills family. Modified Nissan involved in fatal crash. Nissan's name was everywhere. The SR20DET was mentioned in every article. Photos of the crashed 240SX showed Nissan badges. The connection was unavoidable, and it wasn't an isolated incident. Between 2003 and 2005, at least 17 fatal accidents in the US involved modified SR20DET powered Nissans. Street racing, high-speed crashes, deaths. Every single incident mentioned Nissan. Every article described the SR20DET. Every news report showed Nissan vehicles associated with illegal activity. Nissan's marketing department was in full panic mode. The company they were trying to position as family-friendly and responsible was becoming synonymous with street racing and death. The image crisis nobody saw coming. Here's what made it worse for Nissan. The SR20DET wasn't just associated with street racing, it was celebrated for it. Import tuner magazines featured SR20 builds on their covers. 400 horsepower SR20 street killer, ultimate SR20 drift machine. The language glorified illegal activity. Online forums had entire sections dedicated to SR20 builds. People posting dyno sheets, discussing street racing strategies, sharing videos of illegal races. And Nissan couldn't control any of it, because they'd never officially sold the SR20DET in America. It was all gray market, engine swaps, imported parts. a shadow economy that Nissan had no legal authority over. But consumers didn't make that distinction. They saw Nissan engines, Nissan cars, Nissan badges, and they associated all of it with illegal street racing. By 2005, Nissan's marketing research showed something terrifying. When shown photos of street racing, 67% of consumers identified Nissan as the brand most associated with the activity, more than Honda, more than Toyota, more than anyone. Nissan had become the street racing brand, and it was killing their mainstream sales. Families weren't buying Altimas because they associated Nissan with reckless driving. Corporate fleet buyers were choosing Hondas and Toyotas because Nissan's image was too aggressive. Even their luxury Infiniti brand was suffering from the association. The SR20 DET had built Nissan's performance credibility, but it had also destroyed their mass market appeal. The meeting where the decision was made. July 2005, Nissan's global headquarters in Yokohama. CEO Carlos Ghosn convenes an emergency meeting with marketing, legal, and engineering leadership. The agenda: managing brand image and performance segment. The marketing director presents data, consumer perception surveys, brand association studies, media coverage analysis, all of it painting the same picture. Nissan equals street racing equals danger. The legal director presents worse news: liability exposure, lawsuits from families of crash victims, potential regulatory action from the NHTSA, congressional interest in cracking down on street racing culture. We're facing liability claims arguing that Nissan engines are too easy to modify into dangerous weapons. Plaintiffs are citing the SR20 DET specifically, its modification potential, its use in illegal racing. Ghosn asks the question everyone's avoiding: what if we just stop making the SR20 DET, remove ourselves from this association entirely? The engineering director responds carefully. The SR20 DET is still in production in Japan. It powers the Silvia, which hasn't been updated in years. Production volume is low, about 15,000 units annually. And profitability? Minimal. The tooling is old. The engine doesn't meet modern emissions standards efficiently. We're keeping it alive mostly for heritage reasons. Then we discontinue it, Ghosn says flatly. Immediately. We discontinue the Silvia. We stop all SR20 DET production. We distance Nissan from street racing culture completely. One engineer tries to protest, but the SR20 DET has a loyal following. Enthusiasts love this engine. It's part of Nissan's performance heritage. Ghosn's response ends the discussion. Nissan's future is not with street racers. It's with families buying Altimas and businesses buying fleets. The SR20 DET has become a liability. It ends now. The quiet execution. In December 2005, Nissan announced the Silvia would be discontinued. No replacement planned. Production would cease in August 2006. The official reason given: declining sales and difficulty meeting future emissions regulations. No mention of street racing, no acknowledgement of the image problem, just a quiet discontinuation of a 30-year nameplate. The SR20 DET engine was phased out simultaneously. The last SR20 DET rolled off the production line in November 2006. Nissan held no ceremony, published no press release. The engine that had defined their performance image for 15 years just stopped. Enthusiasts were devastated. Online forums erupted with conspiracy theories. Was it emissions? Was it sales? Why would Nissan kill their most beloved performance engine? The real reason didn't emerge until years later. Internal Nissan documents leaked in 2011 revealed the truth. The SR20 DET was discontinued specifically to distance Nissan from street racing culture. One leaked memo from 2005 stated explicitly, "The SR20 DET has become synonymous with illegal street racing in key markets. Continued production creates liability exposure and damages mainstream brand image. Recommend immediate discontinuation." Another document outlined the strategy. Phase out all SR20 production. Do not develop replacement. Shift performance focus to track-oriented vehicles that cannot be associated with street activity. Nissan had made a calculated decision. The SR20 DET's association with street racing outweighed its value as a performance engine, so they killed it to save their image. The replacement that proved the point. When Nissan finally released a successor to the Silvia in 2008, it wasn't what enthusiasts expected. The 370Z came with the VQ 37VHR engine, a 3.7-liter V6 making 332 horsepower. But the 370Z was expensive. $30,000 base price, $40,000 well-equipped. It was positioned as a legitimate sports car, not a tuner car, not a street racing platform. The pricing was deliberate. Nissan didn't want teenagers buying 370Zs and street racing them. They wanted adult enthusiasts, people with money, people who'd track their cars legally or just enjoy them on weekends. One former Nissan product planner explained the strategy years later. The 370Z was specifically positioned to avoid the SR20DET's demographic. We priced it high enough that street racers couldn't afford it. We marketed it as a track car, not a street car. Everything was designed to prevent another SR20 situation. We basically abandoned the affordable performance segment to avoid street racing associations. We let Honda and Subaru have that market. We went up market where the customer base was older and more responsible. It worked. The 370Z never developed the street racing reputation the 240SX had, because at $40,000, most street racers couldn't afford one. But Nissan had also abandoned the enthusiasts who'd built their performance reputation. The people who'd made the SR20DET legendary weren't buying $40,000 sports cars. They were buying used 350Zs and modifying them instead. The drift tax that backfired. Here's the cruel irony of killing the SR20DET. It made the engine more valuable, not less. Before discontinuation, a used SR20DET engine cost $2,000 next to $3,000 imported from Japan. Common, affordable, easy to source. After discontinuation, prices started climbing. By 2008, $3,500 to $5,000. By 2010, $5,000 to $7,000. By 2015, clean SR20DET engines were selling for $8,000 to $10,000. The supply was finite. Nissan had stopped production. Every SR20DET destroyed in a crash or blown up by a bad tune was one less available. And demand kept growing as drifting exploded in popularity. The engine Nissan killed to stop street racing became more desirable than ever because scarcity created value, and the SR20DET's reputation didn't die with production. It grew. By 2010, the SR20DET was more mythologized than ever. Forums called it the Forbidden Engine, the one Nissan tried to erase. Discontinuation hadn't killed the legend. It had enhanced it. And street racing didn't stop either. Racers just used different engines. The KA24 turbocharged, the VQ35 swapped, even LSV8 swaps. The SR20's absence didn't solve the street racing problem. It just changed which engines were being used. Nissan had killed the SR20DET to distance themselves from street racing, but street racing continued using Nissan platforms, the 350Z, the G35. Even Altimas were being modified and raced illegally. Discontinuing the SR20 didn't solve anything. It just eliminated Nissan's most profitable performance engine while street racing continued anyway. What Nissan won't admit. Today, when automotive journalists ask Nissan about the SR20DET's discontinuation, they get sanitized corporate responses. The SR20 was phased out due to emissions compliance and market evolution. Nissan's current engine lineup represents our latest technology. No mention of street racing, no acknowledgement of the image crisis, nothing about the deliberate strategy to distance from illegal activity. But talk to former Nissan employees, and you hear the truth. We killed the SR20DET because it had become a PR nightmare, one former marketing manager admitted. Every time there was a street racing fatality involving a modified Nissan, corporate would freak out, legal would freak out, and the SR20 was always mentioned in the coverage. The decision to discontinue wasn't about emissions or sales, it was about image. Nissan wanted to be seen as responsible and family-friendly. The SR20 represented the opposite, so we buried it. A former engineer was more bitter. We built an incredible engine, reliable, powerful, tunable. Enthusiasts loved it, and management threw it away because they were afraid of bad publicity. The stupid part is, discontinuing the SR20 didn't stop street racing. It just meant we lost out on parts sales and customer loyalty. We punished enthusiasts for what criminals were doing, and we gained nothing from it. The enthusiasts who never forgave them. The SR20DET's discontinuation created a rift between Nissan and their enthusiast base that never fully healed. Enthusiast forums filled with angry posts. Nissan abandoned us. They killed the SR20 to chase soccer moms. They don't care about performance anymore. Some enthusiasts boycotted Nissan entirely, sold their 240S XS, and bought Hondas or Subarus, brands that still offered affordable turbocharged engines. Others kept their SR20-powered cars, but refused to buy new Nissans. The 370Z was too expensive. The newer turbo 4-cylinders didn't have SR20 character. Nissan had nothing for the demographic that built their street credibility. By 2015, Nissan's performance car sales had collapsed in the enthusiast segment. The 370Z was selling fewer than 7,000 units annually in the US. The The GTR was a halo car that regular enthusiasts couldn't afford. Nissan had successfully distanced themselves from street racing, but they had also distanced themselves from the enthusiasts who made their performance reputation, and they never got those customers back. The modern consequence. Today, the SR20D ET is extinct in new production, but its legacy dominates the used performance car market in ways Nissan never intended. Clean SR20D ET engines sell for $10,000 plus, more than many running cars. The engine Nissan discontinued to save their image has become one of the most valuable four-cylinders in the JDM market. And the 240SX platform that Nissan abandoned, values have exploded. Clean S 13.2 40SXs sell for $15,000 to $25,000. S4s bring $20,000 to $35,000. The S15. Silvia, never sold in America, commands $40,000 to $60,000 when legally imported. The cars Nissan stopped making 20 years ago are worth more than most current Nissan models, because enthusiasts never stopped wanting what Nissan stopped building. Meanwhile, Nissan's current performance lineup is struggling. The 370Z was ancient before being replaced. The new Z uses a twin-turbo V6 that enthusiasts respect but don't love. The GTR is a technological marvel that costs $120,000. Nissan has no affordable turbocharged four-cylinder performance car, no spiritual successor to the 240SX and SR20D ET. They seeded that entire market to avoid image problems, and they never figured out how to get it back. The question Nissan can't answer. Here's what keeps me thinking. Did killing the SR20D ET actually save Nissan's image? Or did it just alienate the enthusiasts who gave Nissan credibility in the performance market? The street racing problem didn't go away when the SR20 died. It just evolved. Different engines, different platforms. The social issue Nissan was trying to distance from continued regardless. But Nissan lost something irreplaceable. The loyalty of enthusiasts who'd made the SR20D ET legendary. The credibility that comes from building engines people are passionate about. The cultural relevance in performance circles. And here's the bigger question. What other manufacturers are making the same mistake right now? Abandoning enthusiast products because of image concerns. Chasing mainstream appeal while forgetting what made them special in the first place. Drop your take in the comments. Should Nissan have kept building the SR20D ET? Or was distancing from street racing the right business decision? And here's what I really want to know. If Nissan announced tomorrow they were bringing back the SR20D ET in a new affordable sports car, would you buy it? Or is that trust broken forever? Because maybe that's the real lesson of the SR20D ET. Sometimes the engine that builds your performance credibility can also damage your mainstream image. And choosing between those two audiences means losing one of them permanently. Nissan chose mainstream appeal over enthusiast loyalty. They killed the SR20D ET to save their image. They discontinued the Silvia to distance from street racing. They abandoned affordable performance to chase families and fleets. And they succeeded. Nissan's image improved. Street racing associations faded. The company became more mainstream friendly. But they lost their soul in the process. The SR20D ET wasn't just an engine. It was proof that Nissan could build something enthusiasts loved. That Nissan understood performance. That Nissan cared about more than just profit margins. When they killed the SR20, they killed that perception. And 20 years later, enthusiasts still remember, still resent, still wish Nissan had chosen differently. This is the JDM Engine Archive. Nissan killed the SR20D ET to save their image. But in doing so, they lost the enthusiasts who gave them an image worth saving. Some engines die because they're outdated. Others die because they're unprofitable. And some die because the company that built them decided reputation management mattered more than the people who loved them. Guess which one the SR20D ET was? Catch you next time.